First of all, I would like to thank the World CSR Congress for giving all of us this opportunity. So, welcome back, everyone. I know we are having this panel right after lunch. Don't worry, if I find you zoning out, you can just nod and we all will assume that you are deeply contemplating what we discussed here and you are processing that, right? We will not take it any other way. So, jokes aside, we are here to discuss something very, very crucial, right? In fact, some of the panelists here, we had some offline chat, and this is a pretty crucial subject, which is how to integrate sustainability into the core strategies of enterprises. That's what we are going to discuss, and we have the esteemed panel drawn from various organizations, for-profit, non-profit, with bringing in a lot of expertise, and I'm very eager to ask all our participants some which I think is insightful questions, a bunch of insightful questions, and I'm very keen to get their valuable perspectives. So without much ado, let's dive into the discussion. Let me start my first question to Mithali. So to you. Yeah, so my question to you is CSR initiatives often go beyond compliance and drive real impact, right? I mean, if that's the goal, how can companies create CSR programs that deliver long-term value rather than just meeting the regulatory requirements or just appearing to do good, but how they can do something holistic contribution? Over to you, Mithali.
Yeah, thank you, sir. I will take that question. So hi, everyone. I think the key here is strategic alignment rather than focusing on the compliance part. I think the companies, the companies should set this as one of their goals, in fact, to have that strategic alignment when they conduct or when they think of the CSR activities that they want to conduct. And I can say that with Jumio, we never were restricted with the 2%, 3% compliance, and we always thought of how can we make it more impactful. And yet we still focused on a couple of small projects, but our main goal was to focus on the long-term projects that includes, overall multiple sectors that helps environment, education, child rights, health and sanitization and things like that. And I think it's very important when you think of having a social responsibility out there, doing small charities also help. I'm not denying that fact, but it is also when you take care or when you nurture it from end to end to ensure that, or even when you look that up to a couple of years later, you feel like this is something amazing that we have built, right? We cannot focus on one area. It has to be, like I said, it has to be completely strategic that focuses on multiple needs, because you might want to spread education, but there are other aspects that a child or that a society might need. So overall, a sustainable and a strategic project helps us go a long way and helps a much better impact on the society rather than small projects.
Thank you, very nicely put. In fact, I'll just very quickly also just add one more aspect to what you answered. See, if organizations can do CSR, which is very much in line with the main area of business, the impact will be tremendous. See, for example, I work for TAFE, Tractors and Farm Equipment, where we have the brands like Massey Ferguson, Eicher, and so on and so forth, and we are the world's third largest tractor manufacturer. And as for CSR, what we have done is we have created a Ola kind of a app, Uber Ola kind of app for farmers. They can hail tractors, and there is no any commission. We are not taking any commissions, and we had like millions of poor and marginal farmers use the tractors through such peer-to-peer networking. It also created great livelihood for those who own tractors to go and rent it out and make a living. Okay, thank you, Mithali. So my next question is to Prasanna. So, Prasanna, you are in hospitality industry, right? I mean, which has a significant environmental footprint. So, what are some of the key sustainability initiatives that your organization is implementing to balance sustainability along with financial viability, because you are also a for-profit organization, right? End of the day, you have to answer your shareholders as well as other stakeholders, right? Over to you, Prasanna.
Thank you so much, Ashok. So, yeah, so we are a profit organization, for-profit organization, and so we are in hospitality and the business parks. Both are profitable organizations, and we're not here to make losses and answer our shareholders. Having said that, hospitality industry, as you might see here, very nicely done, a sustainable way in the form of glass bottles. So hospitality is considered one of the world's most unsustainable industry till about a couple of years back, maybe about 5 years back, when we and of course a lot of other hospitality chains globally as well as within India have started doing multiple things in the field of sustainability, which has also aligned with our CSR initiatives. Though initial years we were loss making, that did not mean that we did not contribute anything towards the CSR. The 2% compliance is of course there when you start making profits, but even before that, we were supporting the local schools in the form of, so what we did is, we did the internal sustainability part as well as the external sustainability part. The internal sustainability part was in the form of putting up a glass bottling plant in one of our properties and supplying it to other properties within the group as well as outside. So that's really took care of a lot of elimination of glass bottles. Then we as a company work about 84% on wind and solar power. That again, to a large extent, does not require the thermal power, other power things to be taken from the government. So these were some of the small things. I was just explaining to one of the panel members that we work closely with a lot of startups who are in the space of sustainability. If somebody is not aware, there's a place called T-Hub in Hyderabad, which has startup companies who work in the sustainability and in that space specifically. So these were some of the small initiatives, though very small, but having a large impact on the environment. Plus, for CSR, what we did is we adopted a school which was near our property to kind of support them irrespective of whether we were required to or not from a compliance perspective. And there what we did was actually across some government schools in Chennai. I am from Chennai, so government schools from Chennai, they did not have proper drinking water. So we went to a company called Watson, that's the name of the company, which provides purified drinking water without the use of any power. So it's based purely on solar panels which are installed along with the machine to provide pure drinking water to the students. So we've adopted about 13 or 14 schools, government schools in Chennai, and we have installed those machines. So from a profit-making company, of course, from a profit-making company perspective, we have done CSR with sustainability even when we were loss-making. So we have not kind of said that just because we have made losses, no, we should not be doing this. So that's something, one of the few insights I would like to share of what we in the hospitality space have done. Thank you.
Thank you, Prasanna. So just one very quick point, some of you who are old enough like me, in the 90s you would have heard the saying, quality is free. There was one gentleman by the name Philip Crosby, and at that time industry think that to have a quality product you need to spend money, and he said no, quality is free, and not having quality will make you spend money. So in that same spirit, I would like to say sustainability is free and not being sustainable is costly. For example, any organization can focus on energy efficiency, water efficiency, all in the name of sustainability, but it will also directly hit the bottom line, and I have seen that in my own organization. So thank you, Prasanna. With that, my next question is to Hitesh. So Hitesh, you are in the technology industry, right? I mean, specifically Hewlett-Packard. I'll give you my mic, so don't worry. So how do technology industry folks focus on reducing the carbon footprint and also ensure sustainability, right? I mean, how is specifically, How is HP driving sustainable impact across its supply chain, especially in the light of the fact that you consume a lot of material like rare minerals, to some extent, plastics and other fossil driven material. So please share with us what HP is doing.
Thank you, Ashok, for that question. At HP, sustainability and primarily this entire ESG integration is seen in a more systemic manner. And to tackle it or integrate it as a system, we've taken a value chain approach to it, which means that in fact, it makes much more sense given that if we do one GHG accounting of this entire value chain, our own operations are limited to just 1% of what we are committed to go as a net zero. So over 35% of our GHG footprint or greenhouse gas emission footprint is lying in the downstream on the consumption side, and on the upstream we have over 65%. So it makes much more sense for us to ensure that this entire investment is across the value chain. Now starting from the upstream, the supplier side, it starts with setting the right metrics, putting the right measurement, like I mentioned about so carbon or the carbon footprint acts as a good metric or a benchmark for us to measure success around what we are doing or if we are doing the right thing the right way. And we started by making sure that HP puts a commitment of going net zero across its value chain. So when we talk about going net zero by 2040, this is not just limiting to our scope 1 and 2, but also takes care of the scope 3 emissions, taking care of our entire value chain. And all of this is science-based, in fact verified by the SBTi initiative, and we are 1/3 on our journey so far. And it has happened only because we put the right metrics. Like for suppliers, we have a clear scorecard which helps them or helps us to make preferential purchasing options, to incentivize or create a reason for them to be a part of this value chain. Now coming to, in fact, our measures have been named as the supplier engagement leader owing to all these investments by the Carbon Disclosure Project, the CDP, and this is the 8th time in a row. This year we were mentioned as the supplier engagement leader. Now on the midstream or the employee base, sustainability is not just a role or a job of the ESG office. So it's not just my work at HP, it's everyone's job, and the way it gets integrated is every employee at HP has sustainability as part of their KRAs. So much that today HP is reporting its proportion of revenue coming from sustainability oriented deals or sustainability influenced business. So in fact, just last year, HP reported 60% of its total revenue of the year to be sustainable revenue. And this revenue assurance comes from the Corporate Knights Sustainable Taxonomy. Now that's how it gets integrated into our everyday work. Now this is right from the person in the R&D to the salesperson in the field. Each one has to make sure whatever they're doing, like if they're designing a product, sustainability has to be on their top priority. If they're selling a product, sustainability influence to the downstream has to be, on top of their agenda. Now coming to the downstream, we don't just limit our products, or in fact, it's not just the sales pitch around sustainability. We actually work backwards to look at things which can help our customers meet their ESG commitments. On that note, HP has been for past couple of years re-envisioning its entire business model to move away from transaction-based to service-led approach. So instead of selling computers, today we are selling computing. Instead of selling printers, we are selling printing. So that's the idea through which we make sure we, first of all, circularize this value chain, and at the same time make sure that the footprint on the other side, on the downstream, is limited to as much as possible. And whatever gets left is given through various services like carbon neutral computing services, carbon neutral printing services, where we account for the carbon footprint on the product use phase, and would actually, get these offset and carbon neutral care packs, we call them, gets provided to our customers from the third party assurance providers. So that's how we tackle the entire value chain, from upstream till the downstream, and integrate it.
Thank you. So, a few points that also resonated with me is generally companies, if they could have the sustainability as a part of the core strategy, as a part of an enterprise strategy, that will be a lot more impactful rather than thinking about sustainability as an afterthought and trying to dovetail. So that will be helpful. And that way you can integrate the right KRAs and ensure sustainability is pursued very much like a business goal. Right? Moving on to Jayanta. See, sustainability is not an individual effort, right? I mean, it needs collaboration. So how do you see cross-industry collaboration, Jayanta, so that we can accelerate sustainable innovation and pursuit of sustainability?
Very good afternoon. A very good afternoon to all the esteemed panel members as well as all the ladies and gentlemen present here. So this is very interesting question about that cross-industry collaboration. So for my entrepreneurial experience, that is what was my perception. I'm just going to share. It was earlier my perception was because on a singular leadership. As my belief was, I have a strong skill, I will do hard work, and along with my that is mission, vision, and all these things. So I will, end of the day, I will reach towards my what is my coveted goal. I will reach there. But with the attainment of my experience in the recent time, my perception has changed. That is, that particular cross-industry collaboration, which is not a choice, this is very, very essential, and this is the need of the hour. I'm just telling you one particular case which I was working on that particular startup because I always believe that is the vulnerability, and vulnerability is our power. So that startup, I was their mentor, I just suggested them to go ahead with the sustainable packaging solutions. But after a journey, when they have started their journey, then what happened? They have started facing, even they got stuck also. Literally they are struggling for the financial feasibility part. Then later on, I just encouraged them to go ahead with the fintech, any fintech company to make a collaboration. Because that company, that startups, they have not yet considered also earlier to this type of collaboration. And eventually their road was very smooth and they have reached on they are now growing exponential growth. So that's why I'm just going to reiterate that cross-industry collaboration, it is the necessity, not as a practical dimension, not as a theoretical perspective. I'm sharing with you as a practical exposure. So here is being actually I'm a second generation business owner, as well as my own my consulting organization also. I do work with the entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, family business owners, and startups, which I have developed my personal framework. That is a CVR model. What is the CVR model? CVR model is a constant variables response and growth. Eventually we receive the growth. The growth is not the linear. Here it is, what is the constant? Constant is our values, our purpose, These are the constant. Variables is innovation and adaptation. These are the variables. And if we respond accordingly to adopt certain things, then eventually we receive the growth. So here I would like to say that that particular purpose, and if we align with our purpose and vision, and variables is cross-industry collaboration, leverage of the cross-industry collaboration. That is the variables. And eventually, if we respond accordingly, we will receive the growth. So this is my perspective, that is I would like to share. And another thing is that is one particular truth I would like to share. That is, the truth is that we all know that AI cannot replace human beings. That is truth number one. Truth number two is that we humans, we use AI creatively will. Which one will go ahead? Definitely the second one. So the usage of digitization, usage of AI implementation, this is also very, very essential. So that is my perspective in the nowadays for this cross-industry collaboration. And even another thing is that is I would like to emphasize, that is the attitude. Because as per the Harvard University study, aptitude is 15% and 85% is attitude for the success or growth of any kind of venture or business. That's all so far from my.
Thank you, Jayanta. So, you all can hear me, right? I mean, is the mic working? Okay, brilliant. So, one very quick point I would like to add in addition to what Jayanta said is those who are ahead in such sustainability journey, they can figure out how they can help those who are slightly behind. For example, in my own organization, TAFE, we help our suppliers in terms of ESG, how to pursue ESG, what are the GRI, for example, or BRSR. In fact, we offer a bunch of such support system or consulting, if you will, without any charge to our supply chain community, so that we also bring them up to speed. So that's one way how we are doing it. My next question is to Sunit. Sunit, you are in the waste management industry, brilliant industry, right? I mean, because without which world will be a very difficult place to live. Can you throw some light on how your industry, which is waste management, is crucial for a circular economy and for a cleaner future? And you can also throw some light on some of the biotech innovations that make waste management more efficient and effective. Over to you, Sunit.
Thanks a lot. And I think before me also there was a panel discussion in which Dr. Chinu said that he wants to be the recycling man of India, and that was the whole story about this. But I cannot say goody words today, because our waste management business or CSR projects is like mafia business. So, and I think everybody will be knowing that waste management is a mafia business. If you can dare to tell your wife that try to segregate into 5 tubs of plastic, then you will get the answer. You try to go and talk in your society and say that let's do waste management, or you go to your office and put a strict rule of doing an implementation program of waste management, then I think you will not get the answer. But if you go as a secretary in your society and say that this is to be done, and those who will not go to those who are not going to cooperate will be fined, and this is my rules, and president and secretary sign it, then everybody will do it. So the whole idea about Concept Biotech is one of the leading implementing partner for all the CSR projects, and we do major projects with villages. Why villages? Because as you know that when the city is growing, then it goes inside the village, and then ultimately then again the city grows and you have more urban structures. But if you don't have a ready system where you can really make a project sustainable, then it becomes difficult. So earlier when we started this, as one of the implementing partner, that was also by default, because when this Swachh Bharat mission started in 2015, So we got a call that we want to distribute some dustbins. So whole idea about waste management comes only till that gila katra, sukha katra. But when you say about clean and sustainable future, then you have to make a product. You have to make a product which is sellable and which gives you value. So whole idea about the innovation which you wanted to know is that we try to make a product like benches and chairs from the plastic waste, and we sell to the corporate, and we give that money back to the village so that it becomes sustainable. How many of you will be knowing about Indore? Indore is #1 city. But in our Gujarat, in Baroda, Dumad is the #1 village. Since last 3 years, we have not taken any CSR fund, and the whole system of managing the waste is running on the plastic which we have generated, the plastic which we have segregated, the plastic which we have used for making a product, selling it back to the community, and that is the reason we can say that. So this is my nutshell answer for your question. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sunit. In fact, I recall the offline conversation we had. I asked you about waste to energy, and I was expecting that answer that you will tell me that we can't do that in India because the waste are not segregated. Whereas Singapore takes its big chunk of energy from waste to energy plants because the segregation is so good, and they have excellent way to incinerate it and scrub the fumes so that there is no any harm to the environment. So these are all something that we as a society need to figure out how we can do that. Segregation, such a simple thing, right? Even in this hotel, great hotel, right? But I saw some glass doors open. The air conditioned cold air is going outside, and I thought that's a big waste. I find myself every time in any offices, including my own organization, people just opening the door, letting the AC go out, right? I mean, that's a big waste, right? I mean, yeah, outside 30 odd degrees and inside is some 20 something. The constant outflow of energy. Such simple thing like ensuring that the doors are closed will make sure that you don't burn too much energy to air condition, right? So that let me go to the second round of questions. And my second round of question, it's a follow up of this question which I asked Sunit, but this question is to Mitali. Mitali, I would like you to touch base on circularity, circular economy. You can throw your views on that one. Over to you.
Thank you. So, like you rightly said, I mean, reducing carbon footprints is one of the hot topics these days. Now, with circular movement or circular approach, what we can do is just reuse, recycle of what we have already used, and not throwing them away, just for the environment to degrade. So just giving a simple example, the laptops we use, right? I think we have a policy after a couple of years, we are not allowed to use that machinery again. But what do we do with those resources? We cannot just throw them away, right? Yet that's what, most people are doing today, but we might give it to some, children who can take benefit, who can learn, who can educate, or make something better out of it. So reusing or recycling, things like that, it's very important. And we don't even need a CSR project for that. It starts from the very basics. So let's say if you are in a company and you are giving welcome gifts to your new joinees and everyone, why to use plastic sippers and things that degrade the environment? We can use bamboo, pine woods, or any other natural material to make those sippers or coffee mugs and things like that. Those are usable, and of course they are no harm to the environment. So those are a couple of things that we can do. Of course, green office policy, or even in homes, if you don't need, we all have laptops, you all have AI these days. Maybe we can use that instead of taking out papers and just using it and not reusing them for anything else. So I think those are a couple of things that we can start doing. And like Ashok sir said, that of course we leave the air conditions on, open the doors, just don't care about these. But I think those are the simple steps that each one of us can take as an individual, as a company, as a corporate, to reduce the carbon footprints or moving towards zero carbonization.
Thank you, Mitali. So, one point I would like to add is, following up on what you mentioned about reusing appliances. I'll just very quickly recall one recent incident. My refrigerator at my home was, broken, and the refrigerant that goes from compressor inside inside the fridge, there is some leak in it, and they couldn't fix that. Otherwise, everything was intact, right? I mean, the electronics was good, compressor was good, the whole other plastic and metal parts, everything was good. Everything were good, except for they said there is some leakage in that heat exchanger, and we couldn't fix it. I thought that's so absurd, right? I mean, how could you not do that? I don't want to reveal the brand here, but I'm sure all brands will be like that only. I don't think there will be exception. So we have to end up buying a brand new refrigerator, right? So then you are wasting this whole hardware, and that goes to landfill. And now you're getting another device which you totally don't need. If only you could fix, right? So with that, let me ask my next question I will ask my next question to Hitesh. Yeah, so Hitesh, again, it's a technology question with technologies like AI, blockchain, IoT. How do you think they all will influence or encourage or ensure sustainability, right? And how they can also help us innovate towards our journey on sustainability? Over to you.
I think for sustainability to sustain beyond just the sustainable production. So today if we see sustainability is largely produced and less consumed. It's not being equally matched. So sustainable production on one end from the supply side is not equally matched by responsible consumption on the other side. And there's a reason for it. The reason being sustainable lifestyle choices are not yet a norm. It's more of a niche and being used by a certain or a specific class. And there's a reason, and I would say the onus is on us producers. We've not been able to make it an affordable and an accessible choice for everyone to adopt. I think that's where AI can largely play a role for us on demand generation, demand tracking, as well as demand accomplishment. Because that's something which is a black box for any producer. It's not just limited to sustainability. But for sustainability, this is how HP intends to use. How do we make responsible consumption as a market driving force for us to keep producing sustainable and scale it up as well? So that's one use case which we clearly see. The second use case is when we talk about sustainable, which product is sustainable? The one which has multiple certifications, the one which has a few certifications but is affordable to us, so it's not just meeting our conscience as a consumer but also our convenience, the money factor, so as we usually call in our RFPs, the L1 pricing. What is sustainable essentially? Now, how do you address that? How do you really provide an indicator beyond price for a consumer to be able to make a sustainable purchase? How do we bring in that kind of transparency in? For instance, you spoke about the kind of conflict minerals which might come into our products. We work with rare earth minerals. A lot of these things have to be handled in a very robust manner for it to be a responsible, safe supply chain and a safe and a sustainable product at the end for consumers to consume responsibly. That's where blockchain technologies can help us build that kind of a transparency in our upstream. To bring that transparency and that indicator upfront to our customer is where I can use, let's say, AI. Can I use AI for you to just track or let's say when you pick up a HP laptop through a QR code, can you just track the entire supply chain? That what mineral is coming from which part of the world, which supplier, how responsible, how certified that supplier is, All these things are possible, and this is how we are using today all these technologies to, with the end objective that can we bring more insights in responsible consumption side, because that's where the market lies, that's where the demand lies. The more the demand, the more we supply, and I think as a whole, the supply demand will ensure a sustainable future for all of us. Yeah.
Thank you. So, it also resonated with me. I know that, I used to work for HP, as I was mentioning to you. And HP was one of the pioneers in sustainability. In fact, they started recycling the printer cartridges since, I think, 2000, the year 2000 from then on, or maybe 1 or 2 years later, maybe in the early 2000, I would say for sure. They had this recycling. And see, one point, for example, any company can do is figure out how you can make your products more sustainable. See, if you have a metal, could you replace that with a plastic, which can be easily melted in like 100 or 200 degrees Celsius, instead of steel, which take 1000 plus degrees Celsius, right? So those are all some of the things that we also think in TAFE, in our tractors. We try to, wherever possible, we try to convert metal to plastics so that it's easy to recycle, while ensuring that it doesn't compromise on the integrity of the product, right? I mean, so that's very important. And then other thing also, about blockchains, we can also have end-to-end tracking of material flow with blockchain, so that we can ensure cradle to cradle instead of cradle to grave. So thank you, Hitesh. I will ask my next question to Sunit again. So Sunit, maybe, since you are in waste management, you also deal with a lot of policy, statutory, regulatory frameworks, right, with various government agencies, right? So what frameworks can make or break sustainability initiatives? And what changes or support do businesses need from governments and policymakers and leaders? Over to you.
As far as what I understood, what I can say is that, first of all, behavioral attitude, there is behavioral change and behavioral attitude. When we go to the government and say that, there is one case where, the government said that, can you do some projects pro bono? The question of, making pro bono is that we do something free. So we said that, yeah, we are already doing free. In case if I come to you, you are having industry, I say that, I take all the plastic bottles from your industry and I recycle and make a t-shirt out of it and sell it out. The first instance, your purchase manager or the HR guys will say that, this is sellable, then let's try to sell that product. And this is happening. So when we are doing these projects in villages and we are showing that, we are selling a product like a chair made of the plastic waste, the government is saying, rather the government said that, even we said that, why are you not putting or reducing the GST of 18%? So when I am recycling for you for the free and giving it to somebody, I am not charging from you. So the whole idea again comes that, how, the ball goes in whose court, in my court or their court. So here comes the attitude of understanding the problem and how to derive this. Only by singing the song of Swachh Bharat mission, we are not going to have that. It's a mission. So it is going to take time, and yes, we extend our collaboration with the industry as well as government. Everybody has to be on the same page, and we have learnt good lessons, so we now make new MOUs. We ensure that those MOUs are notarized and see that such type of sustainable the projects should go for not only 1 year but for 2 to 3 years, so that we can make a model and those model can be replicated in different cities or in different countries. So decentralized waste management is the one thing we pitch, and we try to see that we give them what is net zero or what is the total zero discharge policy for solid waste management. Thank you.
Thank you. So hope policymakers are taking a note about your request on incentives or taxation support for sustainable initiatives, right? And that's a good point. So it's for the leaders to factor that. Okay, so my next question is to Jayanta. So Jayanta, again, this is also my favorite question actually. Sustainability is often viewed as cost driver rather than a value driver, right? How can we also ensure that sustainability adds value as well? Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very nice question and very interesting also, because mindset. I always believe that is a mindset plays a very important role in this that particular sustainability part, because I believe that is value and valuation. I always prefer value, not valuation. Valuation is secondary for me. Main thing is whether we can create some value or not. That is more important. So on that perspective, as I mentioned, this is a mindset, because we have to understand that that particular sustainability, this is not a cost. Sustainability it's a profit enabler. Now, how this thing happens? So we all know that if our initiative is related with the ESG, automatically investors will be attracted. Apart from another thing, these are some team, system and strategy. So what is the role of the team? Why team is important? Because these are all the few parameters or few pointers I would like to mention, because team is an integral part of any kind of business. If your team is not committed and competent, it is very difficult to make a sustainable venture or initiative. So that team members, they should understand that is you are providing the value, your organization providing value. They will, to retain your employees, retain your team members, to value creation is more important. And as well as the learning environment, some other environment is also important. As I already mentioned about the ESG matter also. Then second thing is that for, that is a kind of a, another part is also, I would like to mention, that is the, this is what is the purpose? Because if I mention that is what is the purpose, as I mentioned in the CVR model, purpose and passion, proficiency, which all intersects the profit. So if it is a profit enabler, then is what we are doing for the profit. If my venture, my initiative can generate profit, then my business is sustainable. That is the last word. So that's why that is for sustainable venture, profit is it should intersect the profit, and that is my end goal. So here it is the sustainability. So it is not a cost. It is end of the day, it creates profit for us. That's all.
Thank you. So my last question is to Prasanna. Again, an interesting one. I mean, not that other questions are not interesting. They all are as interesting as any other question. So, Prasanna, maybe I would ask this question specifically to your industry, which is the hospitality industry. See, what are the biggest challenges in implementing sustainability initiatives in your industry, and how your industry can overcome that? Yeah.
Thank you once again, Ashok. I think this question is to not the panel members. I should ask this question to the larger audience here. What is the biggest challenge we as leaders face in implementing sustainability? I think it is all us. The biggest challenge in implementing sustainability is ourselves as leaders. If we as leaders do not have the ethos in us and take it down, it will just become something which we are just doing it for the sake of doing it. I think it's not necessarily that it is a hospitality industry question, but I think all of us among the esteemed panel members and others will believe that if you do not carry that ethos with you in the day-to-day workspace and just have it as a session or as something which you just do a tick off, sustainability is not there in the long run. And as some of the panel members were mentioning, sustainability cannot be a cost-saving initiative. It has to be a profit-generating initiative, not necessarily in rupees and paise, but to the larger environment and for the larger world. Because if we do not do that, if we do not wake up today, be it any industry, sustainability is becoming a word across industries. So it's not necessarily it's a hospitality production or any of the startups. Well, I've seen a lot of startups really, start in the sustainability space, but are not able to are not able to sustain themselves, because the person who's buying from them is saying, hey, you are a sustainable industry, give it to me free of cost. So I think the larger ethos of us, if we carry it with us, and as leaders, if you're able to project that to your organization, I think that's the only way you can have sustainability sustain. I think that's how I would like to end this panel discussion as well as this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any questions to any of the panelists? Anybody?